Good morning. We're going to do a version 13 drive, but first I'm going to direct you to our screen. And if you have a Tesla and you're running full self-driving or any one of the features of the recent update is this Wi-Fi diagnostics feature, and you can see if your connection is in this optimal area. And basically it doesn't give you the upload speed, which is more important, at least in my opinion, but it does give you the download speed. So I'm bouncing between like 64 and 125. I've got the optimal, and that's megabits, and I have an optimal message here, which means I really don't have to do anything. But it's highly recommended that you take a look at your diagnostic, because it's very important to be able to upload your drive data to Tesla at the end of the evening or at the end of your drive. So last night when I parked here at about 11 o'clock, between 11 and 1 in the morning, we moved about 15 to 20 gigabytes of data from the car to Cortex or wherever Tesla decided to store the data. And that was from about an hour and a half, 2 hours of driving. So that's what's important, is to get that data back to Cortex so that it can analyze both the interventions and non-interventions. So it's basically a recording of your drive, so that it can see how can it improve from the data available. It's really, the more important one is to get the edge case or the interventions in, because there are not very many. So it's very important that as many drivers as possible are connected to good, clean Wi-Fi. If you're getting an update now and then, well, you might have a really poor Wi-Fi signal that can get an update every now and then, but not move that consistently gigs and gigs of data every night. So take a look at this menu in your Wi-Fi, make sure you're hooked up. You're getting this in your, hopefully in this optimal area. It will let you know if you need to, so let's see. Let's give this a test actually. So I'm going to move away from go through the driveway. So we're going to move away here and see what happens. Oh, so you can see this ping is going sky high now. See how long it'll take. Okay, move vehicle closer to Wi-Fi access point. So I went from being about 30 feet to the access point. Now I'm at, additive 50, 60 feet line of sight. And now it's complaining that, see, now the upload or download speed is 2.48 megabits per second as opposed to 129. So you're not going to move much data at this. So food for thought. So without further ado, now we're going to go over here and we're going to start our FSD version 13.2.2 drive. And as many people have done this holiday season, and it used to be the Lexus to Remember event or whatever, they put the big bow on the Tesla, but it seems a lot of people are getting Teslas for Christmas, which is great. So now that you have this Tesla, what do you do? And what I brought with me is a plethora of charging options. So I have the Tesla NACS or Tesla charger only. This is not the universal version. So you have two options of wall connector basically. You have the one that only does NACS or the Tesla connector, and then the universal charger, which will also charge the CCS or J1772 connectors that, for example, like an ID4 or something up until recently will have been shipped with. So the new electric cars, basically all manufacturers in 2025, are going to Tesla only or NACS. This is the adopted standard, this one. So we're now, this is basically like VHS, Betamax lost. So with that being said, when you buy your car or you're talking about your options, you have the wall connector, so that's fixed, which means it just goes directly to your electrical panel and it gets wired in by your electrician or someone like me. So we do electrical contracting. The other option is that the electrical contractor or you or yourself install a outlet outside or in the garage so that you can charge your car using a portable charger. So that would be the wall connector, or not the wall connector, but the mobile connector. And this has a bunch of dongles you can get for it for various sizes. So this has the 50 amp right now. So this would be considered what you'd find typically behind a range or stove in your kitchen. What you find behind your oven or your dryer at your house is a 30 amp version of this. So that is also an option to discuss with your electrical contractor. I'm doing a practice run because I'm going to do a similar one for this for my company's page. I figure why not practice this a few times to get the speech down correctly. But if you're in the Seattle area, send me a DM or something. We install these all the time. And then the big difference between the wall connector, the fixed one, and the portable charger is the type of breaker that it's going to use. So if you're putting it in yourself, if you're putting in that outlet, it needs to be GFCI protected. If you're putting in the wall connector, it does not. You just put in a normal breaker. These start at 60 amps is what the charger, 60 amp breaker, 48 amp charging. But a lot of times you will notice that most people don't actually need the 48 amps charging, and it is much more advantageous or cost effective to put it in as a 40 or a 50, because sometimes you can use the Romex or the flexible cables. In addition to that, you may not come back with a voltage calculation that is favorable. So basically we need to upgrade the service. It's very expensive, upgrade the panel. But if we can put it in at a lower amperage that's suitable for your driving condition, well, why not? Why don't we just put in a 40 or a 30? Typically, for most people, a 20 is actually adequate. Our default is to put it in at 30. 30 amp breaker or 30 amp oven outlet, because that gives you a little bit of room for expansion. And because in 1 to 2 hours, it will charge the car for what most people drive in a typical day. So that's pretty much that in a nutshell. The other thing we recommend while installing car charging or anything heavy like this onto your house is an in-home surge protector at your panel. Now, this protects the charger, the car, and everything that's in your house. Typically, people are purchasing power strip style surge protectors for your TV because, well, it's expensive, or your computer. Now you have a $45,000 to $100,000 car plugged into your grid. So, highly recommend you look into additional forms of whole home surge protection to protect everything from a power surge. Traditionally, like I said, you're putting them into TVs, air conditioners, furnaces, those big ticket items. Well, you don't get anything bigger than an electric car. There is, to a degree, of sacrificial surge protection, I believe, built into the chargers themselves, so the cars will self-do it, but in a sense, you'll lose the charger. It's better that we lose the sacrificial, disposable OEM. So most electrical panel manufacturers have their own surge protector to put in, made by the OEM. I'm holding a Square D home line. Whether you have an Eaton panel or a Siemens panel, they all have a surge protector that you can purchase for them separately, or there are generic universal chargers that can be installed outside of the electrical panel, but they're just universal or inside it. Just follow the manufacturer's instructions. So there you have it. Those are your typical main ways of charging. This one also has, I'll show you the dongle here. So when you purchase the mobile connector, I keep this in my car because then I can charge this Tesla at a customer's house, at a friend's house. You just plug this in, or whatever they have available. So it's pretty convenient. And then I have a fixed placement Tesla wall connector at my house, or the house, and everywhere basically. So this one I can just keep in my trunk for its intended purpose, mobile charging. And that's pretty much it. All right, thank you for tuning into my Tesla charging TED Talk. And without further ado, we'll get back to our Tesla drive. Our FSD version 13.2.2 drive. gotten an opportunity to see one before. EQE 350. Kind of an interesting design. It's a little bit bigger maybe than a Model Y that we have here. And in the same stretch, I think to my left here, we have the same kind of Mercedes design on the AMG GLE 53 of the electric one that we just saw on the freeway. Very similar or size profile to each other. With the EQ whatever has a more of a rounded rear end. And this one's a little bit taller. Alright, this concludes our version 13.2.2 drive. Made it safely to our destination with no interventions. And we're now going to sign off. Everything was good. Everything worked as intended.